Welcome back to this exciting series where we sit down with leading minds within the Harvard ecosystem, unpacking bold ideas and lived leadership that matters more than ever in today's world. Today's esteemed guest is Secretary Anthony Foxx, who served as the former U.S. Transport Secretary under President Obama, was a two-term mayor from the city of Charlotte, and now is a professor here at Harvard. Throughout his career, he's led at the highest levels, whether that's in government, advising companies in the private sector, and also now within the Harvard ecosystem, shaping how people and cities and systems move and really grow for the future impact of others. So if you're early in your career, this conversation will give you a front row seat of what leadership really looks like, how to manage the trade-offs, the pressure, and the power of conviction. And for those of you further along in your careers, you'll hear what it takes to lead massive changes and massive systems, navigate politics with principle, and try your best to stay grounded through it all. So this one is about legacy, values, and what it means to really move the needle forward in the real world. Let's get into it. Right, guys, so I am here with the Professor Anthony Foxx, who's also Secretary Foxx, as mentioned. The professor has had an illustrious career, and we're fortunate to have his time today in Harvard, where we can ask the questions that we think are top of mind and we think and believe will be of value for you as well. So, Professor, maybe the first question. You became mayor in your 30s, and then you went on to serve in the presidential administration as well. During that point early in your career, how important was it to have a plan? Was it part of your plan early in the career, or were you more guided by your purpose that you had in your career? So how did you balance the two?
Sure. I was more motivated and focused on a purpose. I originally wanted to be a civil rights lawyer, actually, and had gone pretty far along that path before I realized that my skills and talents might be better utilized in the political atmosphere. And it was at that point, right as I was ending my law school career and starting early in my career in government service, that I started to think really about serving in an elected capacity. And so I ended up leaving Washington, D.C., moving back home with my new wife and building a family, and decided to run for local office. I was elected on the last of 4 at-large seats on my local city council, and that started my career. But if I had worked and stayed focused on the plan I started with, I would be in a law firm right now, probably.
So a very different world.
Very different world.
Very different world.
Yeah.
And then once you got into the role that you had as mayor, transport secretary, also what you've done post your political career, whether it's at Harvard or advising the large trams that you have done, in a lot of those worlds that you've interacted with and led, it's been a very complex world as well. And systems start to get bigger, and you're talking about scale, etc. So when you're right in the middle of these big systems and scaling and multiple issues coming up at the same time, how do you then, as a leader in that point in your career, keep a clear picture on what's important for that moment versus being distracted by all the other things that naturally can come up?
Yeah, so there's a process answer, and then there's sort of a values answer. I think my values are always to try to keep things simple, not to get so inundated and perplexed by complexity that you lose sight of the simple steps that need to be taken. And one of the things I did in every job I've had, public job I've done, is I've started with a set of priorities and deliverables that I measured myself by quarter, so that there was some intentionality behind what I intended to achieve, and I could score it against the time as the time went forward. I think that's really important because in these jobs, a lot of things come at you, and you actually could spend your entire day dealing with what incoming and never get to the thing that is most important. So to me, it was always important to go into the job with a clear idea of, okay, what do I want to see happen by the time I leave this office, and to have a plan that I could measure myself by along the way.
Amazing. And that plan of measuring along the way, I think the essence of those plans can also change over time. Expectations from leaders can also change over time. And it's been great in your classes so far in the semester around bridging the divide and also dealing with some challenging situations as a leader. And with everything that you've experienced so far and the future leaders that you're interacting with here at Harvard, what are the future traits and skill sets that you think are becoming even more important for the leaders of today and hopefully the leaders of tomorrow that are watching this video and looking to them?
Well, it's funny. I think up to now, we could have assumed that leaders coming along would have good people skills. I don't think we can assume that going forward, because so much of technology is doing work for us that used to be relational, used to require time in front of other people and listening to other people. But now I think people skills is going to be a huge X factor for people going forward. You're going to have to step away from your phone, step away from your computer to just interact with people on a one-to-one basis or small groups. I think that's going to be critically important in the future. I think also being able to deliver in these complex environments is becoming increasingly emergent. You know, I could look at the last U.S. elections as maybe an indication that even though there was lots of legislation that had passed in the prior administration, people weren't feeling the difference. You know, so it's one thing to pass a bill to do infrastructure. It's another thing to see the infrastructure actually in your neighborhood or in your community. And the lag between those things, I think people increasingly have a short attention span, increasingly have little patience for the delivery schedule. So anyway, I think implementation skills, execution skills are also going to be super important. And finally, I think, talking out of the other side of my neck now, I think digital fluency is also going to be profoundly important, particularly in the public sector. It's because in the public sector, there are going to increasingly be conversations about regulation of technology and what's free speech, what's not free speech, et cetera. I don't think you can adequately do that work without understanding the technology itself. So I think digital fluency is pretty.
Amazing. So there's three very clear, actionable insights that I think all of us can carry, whatever stage you are in your career, whether it's early, mid, or later on. That constant theme of evolution and upskilling and moving forward is really great. So, Professor, thank you so much for the time. I don't know if there was any closing messages or anything that the people watching this should be aware of your work and the amazing things that you're doing here at Harvard and beyond.
It's just a lot of fun to help future leaders figure out how to become themselves. That's what I do every day, and people did it for me. Didn't get to come to Harvard.
But thank you for paying this forward, not just for me, but this is a reason why we wanted to start these videos, to really widen the experience. And just to advocate for this professor, here is a great example of people that have had real world experience, both in public office and also in the private sector, and are willing to come here and share their insights. So if that isn't alone a great advertisement to what you can access here at Harvard, all through these videos, and I don't know what is. So thank you, Professor, for your time. Thank you on behalf of our class for bridging the divide, for everything that you do. And we hope this video has been of value to you as well, our very valued watchers and subscribers. So thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.